I lost my cat. I lost my cat a month ago. I don't think he's dead. I don't think he died. I don't think that a car hit him. I don't think that, he got locked somewhere. I think somebody stole him. I think somebody took advantage of this cat because he was so friendly and just decided to make it their own. This cat was rescued a year ago by me and my ex-girlfriend. We were in the parking lot of this thermal spa, and we walk out there and there's just meowing, echoing through the parking garage. And we walk through, and in the back of my head I was thinking, don't bother with it, let Mother Nature do his thing, this will complicate your life, this will be a burden, a very egotistical mindset. And I gave it a look. I looked around, if I could see it, I couldn't, so I just kept going. We get into the car, we drive about a mile, and I look at my girlfriend at the time, and she has this demeanor, she has this energy that she's releasing, and it's screaming, we have to go back for that cat. So I look at her and I'm like, I should turn the car around, shouldn't I? And she just nods. So I make a U-turn, we get back to the parking garage, I jump out, and now there's a little family, mother, father, and a little girl holding a little plushy doll, and she's just trying to look where the kitty is. The little girl feels bad, and I was like, okay, let's do this. So I start crawling in between cars. I'm trying to find where the source of this meowing is coming from, and then I see him, the little green yellowish eyes from the back of a rear axle hiding behind the rear wheel of the car, and I just go in there with a hand. I grab him by the skin around the neck. I pull him out. I look him dead in the face. And I just think to myself, you are mine. I'm keeping you. We take him back to our glamping site, and the girl I was dating, she jumped to the gas station to get some cat food. This, I think, was on like a Sunday, so nothing is really open. And I'm looking at this cat. He can't walk. He clearly has a limp. He's clearly in a lot of pain. But he's just this tiny, cute little ball of fur, and I'm falling in love with him. But also my heart is tearing up, thinking that potentially there could be something really wrong with him. So the girl comes back, she brings the cat food. We try to get him something to eat. He doesn't want to eat, and we're now desperate. We're like, we can't have him here in the glamping site. You're not supposed to have animals there. So we call up the nearby vet, which is like a 30-minute drive away, and we go there in the middle of the night. It's like 10 p.m. on a Sunday, and we get there. We get the cat into the vet. He looks at him. His back looks really weird. He looks deformed, almost as if something, drove over him. And the vet does an X-ray, and he calls us into the back. And at this point, I'm basically fully prepared to accept the fact that this cat's not going to make it. I'm sitting there. He's showing the pictures, and it's like his back is broken or something like that. Like his hip was broken, and I was starting to tear up inside. I'm a very emotional person. I don't show it, but my heart was breaking. It was a gut-wrenching moment. I don't have a lot of empathy. I don't care a lot about people, but when it comes to animals, specifically cats, there's something about it. It's just my soft spot, and it almost killed me. And the vet looks at it and he goes, yeah, he's got a broken hip, this. And then we're both like, what about this hump? Because he had this hump at the back of his tail, basically, the back of his back was sort of, it looked like a weird, I assumed his back was broken and he was just never going to be able to walk. And the vet says, that's shit, he's constipated. And I laugh it off, and I could feel just a release of stress. So we leave him there. They gave him some laxatives, and he ate in the morning, and they gave us a phone call. They were like, the cat's fine, he's going to make it just okay. And we bring it back home, and this cat was in a bad place because he couldn't use his rear legs, essentially, for the first 2.5 weeks. He just couldn't do anything. So I had a little bed for him, I had a plate of food, and I had the toilet. And he would cry. And whenever the cat was crying, you could only do one of two things. You would take him to the food. If he kept crying, you would take him to the toilet. He would do his thing. Then he would start meowing again. You'd take him back into the bed. He'd still be meowing. Okay, to the food, he would eat. He would start meowing again. You'd take him back to the bed. And that was a thing that went on for 2 weeks. And then I remember laying on my bed one day, I was like, I need to take a nap. It was, late afternoon, just half an hour, let me just take a quick nap. I lay down and I could hear something clawing up the side of the bed. And I thought to myself, please no. I looked down at my legs and this motherfucker has just climbed to the top of my bed. And my bed isn't very short. So I realized, great, this is now a new dimension that opened up for him. We're now going from a two-dimensional world for this cat to a three-dimensional world. Soon enough, he'll be climbing up these walls and doing all sorts of funky stuff. And I want to keep him away from jumping too much so that his back and hip and everything can heal and he can live a normal life. And it was just an upward spiral from there. Throughout autumn and winter, he was just growing and getting bigger and just being a cuddly little fur baby. And in the spring, we started to let him go out a little bit more. He starts catching huge quantities of mice and worms and lizards and everything that moves, he would essentially catch it and bring it. And then a little while back, about a month and a half ago, he started coming home a little bit less frequently. He would be gone for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Every time he'd come back, he wouldn't stay for long, but he would come back. There was also some smell that we could get from the back of his fur here, as if somebody had given him some anti-flea medicine. So we started to assume that perhaps he is sharing the house with somebody else as well. That he's going somewhere to some grandma or a young family somewhere in the vicinity. And my assumption is that he stayed there. Whether they closed him or they gave him to somebody or moved, I don't know where he is. Now, as a person, I have two different mindsets. Ironically, I had this exact mindset with mice. I have an older cat who often would bring home a mouse, and the mouse would usually be still alive, and I would follow a 50-50 rule. Half of the time, I would let her kill the mouse, and half of the time, I would remove the house from my home. And this is where I was in a dilemma. You see, I suffer from this issue, which is overwhelming amounts of love. I find it very hard to fall in love, for example, very hard to really love something or someone. But when I do, I have difficulties letting it go. And seeing that this cat was one that I almost didn't want to love at first, I almost wanted to just leave him there, let Mother Nature do its thing, he would have died. 100% this cat would not have made it through to the next week. And so I see that I only have two ways to deal with it. On one hand, I can obsessively chase after this thing. Obsessively chase after the woman I love. Obsessively chase to find this cat, locate him and bring him back into my possession. Obsessively chase its different ambitions in life. Or alternatively, let nature take its course. What I'm about to say relates a lot to the video that I'll be uploading next, and that is a video of religion. Because what I'm about to tell you is that I've reached this conclusion with myself, that I will combine the 50-50 rule that I've been using most of my life with some sort of faith. That I will just simply commit to the fact that sometimes, especially things you love, you have to allow them to be free. Whether it's my love for a woman or my, love for a cat or a loved one or a family member, or an ambition that simply didn't go through, or a dream that had to die, or a goal that I had to cross off because it wasn't achievable anymore. That a lot of the times it's less stressful and more free if you can relieve yourself of that tension. And I believe that wherever this cat is, he's happy, that he's living a full life, that it doesn't have to be with me for this cat to be, content, for this cat to go out and chase, for this cat to have a loving family, to receive cuddles, to get quality food. And if, faith has it in store, if the universe has it all planned out, then our paths will cross again. Perhaps I'll get a call from a vet because there's a chip in him and they'll call me up and say, hey, we found your cat. Perhaps he is actually dead and I'll never see him again. Perhaps, it's just meant to be that I wasn't deserving enough of this cat to keep it in my life. Whatever it is, I'm not stressing myself over it. I know that I did the best that I could, all that was in my power, in my passion, in my love, in my own faith, to bring this cat from the dead to the living. And even if it was just for a year and a couple of months that I got to share this world with him, I'm happy and content that I was able to do so. And I'm trying to implement this into every aspect of my life. But more about that in the next video. Take care and safe flying.